The Mavic Mini is more than capable of taking exceptional video and pictures, especially considering its size, weight and price. But in their desire to simplify everything, DJI removed many of the manual adjustments to the camera that we make use of on larger models like the Air and the 2 Pro. In fact, many people have complained about the lack of control the Mini provides for its camera. Well, today I'm talking about what you can adjust and how you can make sure you're always taking great pictures and video. Hello, I'm Ian in London, a CAA PFCO licensed drone pilot that plays with loads of different drones. Today I'm talking about how to get the very best out of the Mini's camera and what adjustments you can make within the app and when flying to always make sure you get good results. I'm also talking about some of the visual settings you can use from within the app to experiment with and work out what's best for you. So first off, let's start with some basics. With any photo or video, there's normally three elements to getting a good result. You've got the shutter speed, the aperture and the ISO. The shutter speed is simply controlling the exposure time, which literally is how much light is allowed into the sensor. This is directly based on the aperture of the camera itself, which is literally how big the hole is that lets the light in. And finally, the ISO, which adjusts the overall sensitivity of the sensor. So all three elements are directly related, and yet sadly we can't adjust any of them within the DJI Fly app. The aperture is fixed at f2.8 and the ISO and shutter speed are both automatically set by the app. And to be fair, most of the time this is good enough, but not always. If you have bright skies, then your landscape and ground may well be too dark. Either way, the Mini can't know which part of the picture you're actually trying to show properly, so more often than not it guesses, and sometimes the end result isn't that great. So here's the first proper tip on a display setting that can help you judge the exposure of the picture you're taking, as it's not always apparent when you're filming, as you can only see on a tiny little screen and the phone may be reflecting sunlight anyway. So jump into the advanced settings and switch on the histogram feature. You may have seen these before and maybe wondered what it's trying to show. Basically, it's simply an electronic readout of the highlights and lowlights of the picture. So if you've got peaks on the right of the histogram, you've probably got overexposed sky. Likewise, if you've got peaks on the far left of the histogram, you've probably got landscape that is too dark. Your aim should be to get little peaks in the center of the histogram. But look, don't get hung up on that. As I said, it's just a visual aid as to what your eyes should already be telling you if you can't see the screen properly. So let's go back to our overexposed sky and our dark landscapes. We've got two adjustments that we can make, and it's important you know what they are and how they can help you. So one of the simplest and easiest tools to use is the exposure lock down in the bottom right of your screen. This is such a useful little tool and one of the easiest ways to make sure the exposure is right on what it is you're trying to shoot. To set it, first of all, make sure it's white, showing the unlocked symbol. Then pitch the camera down and make sure you're happy with the exposure of the picture. You'll usually get this when there is no bright sky in the camera. Tap the exposure lock to fix the exposure at that current setting. It will then turn yellow and show a little padlock. And this now means that you're free to move the camera about and change what's being included, including the bright sky, knowing that the main subject of the picture will remain at that same exposure. Exposure lock really is one of the simplest and most powerful tools to getting the right exposure. And even though you can see that the sky may look overexposed, your main subject is still going to show exactly as you want it. There's also a second very powerful tool right next to the exposure lock, and that is the exposure value, or the EV dial. This allows you to simply dial the exposure up or down to suit what it is you're shooting without having to move the camera like we just did earlier to exclude the sky. But again, as you see here, as you dial the exposure up, the picture gets brighter. Dial it down and the picture gets darker. So this is obviously a very useful tool and really should be used in conjunction with exposure lock, which I guess is why they've put them side by side. Another thing to consider, of course, is cinematic mode. You've got sports, P mode and cinematic mode. And cinematic is a very useful mode to slow down the movement of the drone itself, which of course is going to be another big feature to improve your results. You can see in some of this video I shot when I was in P mode, when I turn the drone it's quite jerky and not a very good result. But when you switch to cinematic mode, not only does it slow down the overall speed of the drone itself, it slows down the turns, and also it softens the stick movements. So then whenever you're turning the drone's direction, you'll find that the turns will be a lot smoother. And another really useful thing that people often forget about are the use of quick shots. These do all the work for you with automatically pre-programmed drone and camera gimbal movement to give you a highly professional end clip. But the point being is that whilst you can adjust certain parameters like height and distance, you simply let the Mavic Mini do all the work for you and just concentrate on being the central subject. And in every case, you're going to be the perfect centre of attention, and the camera movements will be very, very smooth and professional looking. Another thing to consider is the use of ND filters if you're shooting in very bright sunshine, or you want to slow down the shutter speed, for instance if you're flying near a waterfall or a stream or something. ND filters are a bit like sunglasses for your lens. They just simply cut down the amount of light that's coming in. I've been playing with the Freewell set all-day pack that Harry from Freewell sent me, and you can see how it actually sits very snug, very simply on the lens. It clips on quite easily and doesn't actually, if I turn the drone on, you can see it does not interfere with the movement of the gimbal in startup mode. One of the things the ND filters allow you to do, as I said, is cut down the amount of light. And in this set, there's actually a set of polarizers as well. And you can see when you're dialing them, it's a little bit fiddly to dial the red dial on the front, but that can actually make the sky appear a little bit bluer and darker, because polarizers cut out reflected light, and there's an awful lot of reflected light going around in the sky. As you can see on this particular clip, the colours come out very rich, and certainly in certain situations an ND filter is going to be a really good and useful tool. So look, there you go, hopefully a few tips and ideas for you to take away and experiment with. Mavic Mini has got adjustments that you can make to the camera and to the movement of the drone itself that will really help you out and make sure you get fantastic video and pictures each time. So as ever, if you like this sort of stuff, hit the old sub button, ding the dong to get notified, and give me a little thumbs up if you're happy with this video. Either way, until next time, have fun and happy flying.